same thing. But, it definitely added an element of kind of second-guessing yourself and losing a little bit of sleep over it.
So moving into conference play, I ask Coach Yeagley this, I feel like every year, so I apologize if it's going to be recycled, but is there an extra added intensity when you go from non-conference play to conference play, and do you have to add it yourself, or is that something the kids do for you?
I think the kids our kids know that you only get so many football games guaranteed as a high school football player, so I think they do a great job of getting wound up and going to play as hard as they can every week. The one thing that I would say, once you get into conference play, especially in our conference, right, you're getting a quality opponent every week, and you're playing an opponent that's familiar with you or to you. So, I think from a preparation standpoint, it takes a little bit more focus, a little bit more homework done during the week just to try to see what are these guys seeing and how are they different from last year. And so that's probably the biggest thing.
So when you look at this stretch that you guys are going into, this starting with Lakeview, now it's Struthers. Next week it's Pullen. Obviously, we're not looking ahead, but this schedule makes it very challenging not to look to look ahead, because you literally are getting beat in the face every single week, and there's teams that are so different from Lakeview to Struthers, from Struthers to Poland. This truly is a gauntlet year for you. How do you kind of prepare your team for this stretch you guys are about to go through?
Well, I think you just embrace the challenge and the unique challenge that is presented every week, right? I think our whole conference is filled with great players and great coaches, and it really forces you to treat every single game as if it's a championship game, because it might be, right? You never know when that's going to be the game, and so you prepare as hard as you can, each week, and I think that pays dividends down the stretch when you start realizing, hey, we've strung 7 or 8 weeks in a row together that we feel like we're playing playoff football, we're playing for a championship. So, I think in the long run it benefits you. The struggle is obviously trying to stay healthy and trying to stay as fresh as you can for the long haul.
Week 0, we heard 3 teams in the NE8. We heard Struthers. We heard Poland. We heard South Range. Obviously, you throw the other elements in there that aren't easy weeks at all, but now it's Struthers versus South Range, Poland versus South Range. This is where the NE8 is won and lost. This is where the impact zone is. Do you look at this film differently? Do you prepare any differently for games like these? Even though, you look around, the spotlight isn't on these games, at least to this point. I know that the game of the week is somewhere else, where I think everybody in your locker room feels like this is a pretty doggone big game.
Yeah, I think, anytime you play Struthers, you're going to play a physical football game, and they're going to have plenty of community support. They have every time we've been over there, it's been a great environment. So I think our kids are excited for that. And then I think there's probably the human element of saying, hey, we've been hearing about these guys for a long time now. Yeah. And so our guys know that, there's going to be a big challenge in front of us. But, I'd like to tell you that we approach every game the same and with the same intensity. The truth is, I think it's just human nature that, to some degree, you look at games like this and probably put a little bit more emphasis on it. I think that's something to be honest about. I think it's okay to be honest about that. But, so I know our kids are excited to go play and see what we can do.
This game feels a little bit different because Struthers was the team that, for all intents and purposes, I think everybody would agree, they let one get away last year. And I think there's still that chip on the shoulder of they're talking about we were the closest to the state champions last year. Now we got to finish the job. How does that sit with you? Do the guys realize that? Do they feel like, hey, we owe them one from last year?
Yeah, I don't know. It's so hard to say, year over year how you feel, going back to what it was last year. I'm sure our guys would probably tell you we don't feel like we played a great game.
Okay, so let me ask this question. Do you remember how many turnovers there were?
I think there were 6.
You nailed it. See, yeah. You remember that, right?
Yeah.
That sits in the back of your memory a little bit.
Yeah, I think, and again, we didn't play a great game, and a lot of that was because they did a great job of taking some things away, and they made a lot of plays, and they're a very good football team, so I don't think, there's a whole lot of guys on either team that are still playing from last year.
Yeah.
And it's a whole new game, but again, we're very well aware of the talent that they bring to the table and the coaching they bring to the table, and it's going to take a great effort by us to come away with a win.
Comparables. You're talking about they're 2 different teams. Are they comparable? Are they running the same kind of formations as they did last year? Is it something you can go back and look at tape from last year?
Yeah, definitely. I think from a schematic standpoint, they're very similar to what they've been really since we started playing them.
Sure.
There's obviously some wrinkles, and they're trying to use their guys use their talent in different ways, year to year. But I think from a big picture perspective, it's still relatively similar. And I think we are too, right? I think every year we change a little bit, but it's about the same thing. So I'm sure, I'm sure they're looking at previous films, and we're looking at previous films and trying to see, where we can improve.
So there's a very special guest we're going to have tonight. A guy that's very close to you, defensive coordinator, Mr. Nico Mancuso.
Yeah.
We're going to talk to him a little bit. I know he's nervous. So, and you were nervous the first time you jumped on here too.
Yeah.
What should we know? What should the world know about your defensive coordinator, Coach Mancuso?
Well, selfishly, I can tell you he's just a great friend to me. But as a football coach and as a leader and as an educator, there's nobody that cares about the kids more than he does, and that's probably the most important thing. When I'm looking at trying to build a staff, and you want to get somebody that obviously loves the kids, loves teaching, can communicate at a high level with them, and has their best interest in mind. And I would say that he cares the same about all our starters and the guys that are freshmen in their first or second week with the program. I mean, he's done a great job of developing those relationships. And when I was hired, I was told, you want to go out and you want to hire people that are smarter than you. So, which isn't overly difficult for me. But he definitely fits the bill there. He's a really smart guy that works really hard, takes great pride in what he does, and has a great relationship with our kids.
When you look at Coach Mancuso, X's and O's, right? And I've heard stories about how much time he puts into. Literally, he has a huddle shirt he wears around with so much pride.
Yeah.
What does he bring to the table for you, X's and O's, into the coaching room?
Well, it really works nice for me because I feel like we have a very similar mindset in terms of what we're trying to accomplish and what we're looking for from a football team from a defensive standpoint. Even prior to him joining the staff this year with us, we would still talk a lot about what was going on and try to share ideas with each other. So that's been a blessing. And then, like you said, and you kind of alluded to this, he just works so hard, in everything that he does, and that's something that I want our kids to see, what it takes to be successful in whatever arena it is. And he works really hard, and again, just the relationships that he builds with the kids, I think, is the most important thing.
Okay, so when you look at off the field, right? I give you a question. I'm giving you 2 off the field questions tonight.
Okay.
Making it a little challenging on you. If there was a TV series that of all time, doesn't matter, new, old, where would you want to be in that TV series? What TV series would you want to be a part of? I guess is a better question.
Well, I did have some help ahead of time from my wife about this question, so but she had a good one. I would say Vikings.
Vikings.
Yeah.
I've never seen it. Where did it air?
I think it was on Peacock, maybe.
Peacock, okay.
I'm not sure. My wife handles all the streaming stuff. I can barely turn the TV on, but I'm pretty sure it's on Peacock. And it was a really great series. It was set probably 1300s over in Europe, when the Vikings were making their rounds.
So what kind of Viking would you be?
Probably one that followed the rules because those guys were pretty tough. They were pretty ruthless. So I'd be one that was falling in line real quick, I feel like.
Second question, and one that I think gets everybody, is your favorite song of all time?
Of all time, probably one that most people of our generation haven't heard of. It's Old Church Hymns and Nursery Rhymes by Waylon Jennings, my favorite of all time.
Really? Why is that?
It's just a great story. The song's a great story. Waylon Jennings is one of my favorite artists.
Yeah.
Kind of an old school country guy, and it's about a relationship between a guy and his child and his family, and as the years go by. So kind of a sentimental pick.
Awesome. What is the worst song of all time?
Of all time, probably. I'm not big on what was it, Barbie Girl?
I'm a Barbie girl.
Yeah, that one. That wasn't a great song.
Have you seen the Barbie movie?
No.
Are you going to?
Probably. If Geneva has anything to say about it, I might. I don't know.
What you do for your children, right?
Yeah, no kidding.
Whatever it takes. Coach, thank you so much. Best of luck to you this week.
Yeah, thank you.
Absolutely. We'll be back with Coach Mancuso right after the break, right here on your Sports Network.